Are you sat correctly there?
Apparently so. This is very...
Cool. Good evening, everyone. The question du jour: is violence linked to poverty? In some countries, people seem to think so. I am Caroline Farrell, and tonight we are welcoming Glenn Medeiros, a young Brazilian student here in Manchester. He arrived 3 years ago to follow a language class at the Manchester College, but decided to stay on when it ended. His reasons are simple. He simply feels safer here in Europe than back home. In a few minutes, he will tell us why. Brazil is synonym of football, carnival, beaches and beautiful women. But like everyone, everywhere, something sinister is lurking in the background of this amazing country, and it's violence. Every day, men and women here have to deal with it, and most of them think that this is linked to something else far sinister and widely spread. I am talking about poverty. So Glenn, good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. You are originally from Rio de Janeiro, is that correct?
Absolutely. My family's originally from Salvador de Bahia in the north of the country, but they moved to Rio about 50 years ago.
Ah, okay. A few years ago you came here to study, right? But you decided to stay. Why was that?
Yeah, I mean, I was just watching those images of my beautiful country, and you're absolutely right, it looks like heaven, but people like my family have to live every day behind bars or tinted windows.
Was it because of the insecurity in the country?
Yeah, I mean, my family's quite well known in Rio de Janeiro, and going somewhere can sometimes be like a mission for all of us. We're having to have like bulletproof glass, we're having to get helicopters just to go to the shops. It's just ridiculous.
Okay. Bodyguards? You have to have bodyguards as well?
Yeah, I mean, on numerous occasions I've had to have like 4 bodyguards, and I mean, despite what you may think, I can't look after myself that well, so they're there to protect me from like people that recognise us or are trying to take us out.
Wow, I mean, it seems that everywhere you go in your country's safety is paramount. Looking back, our in-house reporter, Carlo Colombo, went to Rio actually to meet someone who had experienced firsthand the risks of living in such a beautiful city.
Jerry Leroy is a French national currently living and working in Brazil. He is director of an electrical company that employs more than 500 people. A few months ago, as he was driving, he had to stop at traffic lights in broad daylight. He was getting his windscreen washed while waiting when a few men, with machine guns and other weapons, attempted to kidnap him from his car. As the men shot a few bullets in the air, he cleverly managed to escape after reacting quickly and racing while looking for a police car. This type of occurrence is quite familiar here in Brazil, and this is why big companies are now investing heavily in the protection of their top employees, and they go to lengths for it. Jerry's car is now bulletproof, and he admits that he now feels safer in the streets of Rio de Janeiro.
So Glenn, you actually mentioned that sometimes back at home you have to drive around in cars with bulletproof windows. What about if you must come from a pretty well-off family, because if you're from a family or a background that are poverty-stricken, surely they can't afford to have bulletproof windows in the cars.
No, that's right, and I mean, at the same time, people that were sort of poverty-stricken wouldn't need those sort of security, those bodyguards. But at the same time, I don't think my family should be hindered just because we've got money, but we have been. We're restricted to what we can do.
Ah, yeah, I didn't really think about that. Wow, it's incredible. Not really, because Brazil is a country with the highest number of private helicopters in the world, but way above United States. Is that true?
Really? Well, the downside of the situation is eventually loneliness and absence of comfort, because in Europe you mostly travel in buses or metros where you can talk to people, but how do you socialise in a helicopter? Oh my god.
According to Carlo, our reporter, there's still quite a number of people who live in Brazil that are, dangerous. Why? Glenn, do you think there's something more tangible about their lives?
Oh my god.
You're telling us to finish, there's about 3 paragraphs to go.
There's a book still left.
Just read that.
Oh, can we do it again?